Amber Heard hired new lawyers to beat Johnny Depp again. Amber Heard is shifting the majority of her legal team and relying on the Constitution as she prepares to appeal Johnny Depp's multi-million-dollar defamation decision. This implies that when Warner Bros.' sequel Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom starring Heard hits theaters on March 17, 2023, the case could be heard again by judges and a fresh jury. In this video, we'll take a look at why Amber Heard is suing Johnny Depp again. Amber Heard has recruited new legal counsel to fight Johnny Depp's defamation trial result. According to a spokeswoman for the actress, she has hired Ballard Spahr attorneys David L. Axelrod and J. Ward Brown to represent her. Elaine Charlton Breedhoft will step down as co-counsel, but Ren Roddenborn will remain. When it comes to safeguarding the fundamental rights to free expression, we view the jury's judgment as the end of the beginning, not the beginning of the end, the spokeswoman said. A different court requires different representation, especially now that so much new material is emerging. Axelrod is a formal federal prosecutor and first-chair trial lawyer who represents individuals and businesses in high-stakes civil litigation, whereas Brown has represented journalists, news organizations, and documentary filmmakers in First Amendment claims, among others. Earlier this year, the two successfully defended the New York Times against Sarah Palin's defamation action. We are delighted to have the opportunity to represent Ms. Heard in this appeal, since it's a case with significant First Amendment consequences for every American, Axelrod and Brown said in a joint statement. We are optimistic that the appellate court will interpret the law correctly, without regard for public opinion, reverse the ruling against Ms. Heard, and reaffirm the fundamental principles of free expression. Breedhoft said the appeal is the appropriate opportunity to transmit the baton in her own statement. I've offered to Amber and her appellate team my full cooperation and assistance as they pursue success, she stated. In June, a 7-person jury found that Heard willfully and maliciously defamed Depp in her 2018 Washington Post op-ed, in which she identified herself as a public figure representing domestic abuse. Depp was granted compensatory damages of $10 million and punitive damages of $5 million. Heard was awarded $2 million in compensatory damages in a modest countersuit victory. Although a plea for a mistrial was granted, Heard's attorneys filed an appeal last month. We feel the court made mistakes that prohibited a just and fair verdict compatible with the First Amendment, the actress's publicist said. As a result, we are appealing the decision while we recognize that today's filing may spark a Twitter firestorm. There are steps we must follow to ensure fairness and justice. When approached for comment on the appeal, Depp's spokeswoman told EW, the jury heard the considerable evidence given during the 6-week trial and reached a clear and unanimous conclusion that the defendant repeatedly defamed Mr. Depp. We remain confident in our cause and believe that this judgment will be upheld. In March 2019, former Pirates of the Caribbean star Depp sued his ex-wife Heard for $50 million over a late 2018 Washington Post op-ed written under Heard's byline. The American Civil Liberties Union ambassador remarked of being a public figure symbolizing domestic abuse in the article. While Heard never addressed Depp by name in the Jeff Bezos-owned broadsheet, the litigious former Oscar contender argued the op-ed devastated his already tarnished career. Although Depp mentioned nothing during his and Heard's restraining order-filed 2016 divorce, Depp stated in his documents that he was the one who was abused in the couple's relationship. At the Virginia trial, the actor repeated that claim on the stand. After failing to have the case dismissed or relocated, Heard countersued Depp for $100 million in the summer of 2020. That countersuit occurred months before Depp's UK libel action against Rupert Murdoch's The Sun tabloid for labeling him a wife-beater failed spectacularly in November 2020. However, the 7-person Virginia jury has awarded Heard $2 million in compensatory damages on one of her counterclaims on June 1st, appearing to contradict the $15 million they awarded Depp, with the exception of Roddenborn's closing argument on May 27. The obvious First Amendment arguments were almost completely overlooked throughout the trial. Instead, despite having heard on the witness several times, Breedhoft enabled the defense to become entangled in a he-said-she-said battle with Depp's astute Brown Rudnick lawyers. Faced with an assault of social media mockery, it was plainly a losing proposition for Heard, who expressed heartbreak when the judgment was announced. Heard officially served notice on the court just hours after the verdict was revealed earlier this summer. Travelers Commercial Insurance, as was the case during the high-profile trial, is covering the price for Heard's legal team through the actress's homeowner's insurance policy. On July 22nd, Depp submitted his own appeal notice in the game of legal chess. Heard's lawyers have a September 4 deadline to file their appeal, and she is still anticipated to post the $8.3 million bond necessary by Virginia law to contest the decision. And with that being said, it's time to end our video. Subscribe to the channel for more amazing videos like this. We'll see you with another interesting video.